There's a reason people move to El Dorado Hills and never leave, but it's probably not what you think. In this episode of Sacramento Valley Lifestyles, we're talking about why El Dorado Hills is one of the top spots to move to in California, a place where one visit simply doesn't explain why people choose to live here. If you're considering a move to Northern California and you're looking for that balance between lifestyle, space, long-term value, El Dorado Hills is one place that I'm sure keeps coming up again and again. And after more than 2 decades of living in the heart of El Dorado Hills, I can tell you, people don't end up here by accident. People choose El Dorado Hills. We've all visited places and thought, oh, this would be so nice to live here. And then there are those places that you go to and you say, I want to live here. Well, El Dorado Hills is one of those places. And more importantly, once people are here, they don't leave. I'm Mela Frater-Contuli, founder of Onyx Real Estate. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 reasons people are moving to El Dorado Hills. Not surface level talking points, but what actually matters when you're making a relocation decision. We're going to dive deep into what makes El Dorado Hills special, who it's really for, and why so many buyers, from local move-up families to Bay Area buyers, continue to put this community at the top of their list. If you're considering a move to El Dorado Hills, or simply want to understand what truly separates this market from other suburbs all around Sacramento, this is where we go beyond the surface and get into the details of what makes El Dorado Hills special. So let's start with location. El Dorado Hills' biggest competitive advantage is its location. On a practical level, El Dorado Hills sits on the Highway 50 corridor, just east of Sacramento. The 2020 census counted there are 50,547 residents in El Dorado Hills, and the Census Bureau's more recent 2024 profile shows 87% of homes are owner-occupied. Median household income is over $175,000, which tells you immediately that this is a stable, ownership-driven community. From a daily standpoint, you're along that Highway 50 corridor. That means you're 25 to 30 minutes to downtown Sacramento, depending on where you live in El Dorado Hills and the time of day. Then Sacramento International Airport is about 45 minutes from El Dorado Hills under normal driving conditions. And Folsom is right next door, one exit down the freeway, or you don't even have to take the freeway depending upon where you live and where you're going. And what that means is major retail, restaurants, and employment centers are close by without having to live in the middle of all that density that those wonderful things bring. El Dorado Hills is only 25 minutes from Roseville and all the great things that the Highway 80 corridor has to offer. This is one of the few places where your weekend lifestyle expands dramatically without changing where you live. And then there are the intangible pieces. You leave Sacramento, and within minutes, the landscape changes. The flat valley turns into beautiful, gently rolling hills like Tuscany. The density disappears, and it just feels quieter, more intentional, private. So when buyers say El Dorado Hills feels removed from the city, but not remote, that's what they mean. When you live in El Dorado Hills, you are not giving up access, you're upgrading your setting. El Dorado Hills manages to deliver social energy without urban disorder. You can have movement, dining, events, music, weekly rituals, but still go home to more space, quieter streets, and a more residential rhythm. That's a big reason why people who live here, who have lived, I should say, in denser markets, find El Dorado Hills so compelling. Now let's talk about the lifestyle, because here is where El Dorado Hills really begins to separate itself. Obviously, the anchor, Folsom Lake. Many residents say this is not just the scenery, it's part of their weekly routine, from paddleboarding, boating, access to the trails for hiking or biking. There are scenic overlooks, there are evening walks, and Lakeview neighborhoods all become part of how people live, not just what they do when they visit here. But the lake is only part of the story. The El Dorado Hills Community Service District says it provides more than 530 acres of parks and open space to the residents, including 28 parklets, neighborhood parks, village parks, and community parks. The district also owns and manages about 553 acres, including 272 acres of parks and 281 acres of open space. Either way, the scale is significant for a suburban community. This is not a place with just one or two signature parks. It is truly a park system. The Promontory Park is my favorite park, and it is a great example of the parks here in El Dorado Hills. It's really designed for broad community use when whole family can come out and enjoy a day together, and everyone from all the different age groups has something to do. The CSD is also responsible for the trail networks here in town. The New York Creek Trail alone is 1.5 miles and 28 acres of native vegetation and wildlife that is connected between schools and parks and homes. And it gives you a sense of how the outdoor space is woven into the community fabric rather than pushed to the fringe. And then there's golf. Golf is a big part of the lifestyle here in El Dorado Hills. There's the Serrano Country Club, and then there are multiple other golf courses within a short drive, including Empire Ranch. And then there's even the old executive golf course that the CSD acquired, those 55 acres in 2024, as part of a larger park open space plan. So even former golf land is being reimagined as an amenity in El Dorado Hills. The reason all of this is so important is because when you're thinking about a move to El Dorado Hills, it's not just evaluating whether there's something to do on the weekend, but it's asking that question: can we build a life here where the kids have parks and sports and trails and outdoor events? Can we build a routine? And the answer is yes. Let's talk about daily living, because this is where the emotional side of a move becomes real. A beautiful home, it means much less if everyday living and life is inconvenient. El Dorado Hills works because the basics and the lifestyle pieces that you need are both close at hand. You're not constantly leaving town and the area to get what you want. You have options. Grocery stores nearby, shopping, fitness studios, personal services, dining that ranges from casual to elevated are all in El Dorado Hills. And the town center, it remains the social heart with dining, services, events. People are there on a daily basis. And then you have 4 additional shopping centers located throughout town. That means your day-to-day can stay very localized. Coffee, breakfast, lunch at the town center, farmer's market on Saturday, dinner close to home. But then you also have the next ring out, so to speak. Go down the freeway 1 exit, there's the Palladio, there's Broadstone Marketplace, there are the outlets, Whole Foods, Costco. All the major retail is nearby. And the residents of El Dorado Hills benefit from being close to the border of Folsom and the retail ecosystem without having to live in the middle of it. A quick run to Folsom for expanded shopping is a very livable pattern, and the food scene specifically has improved the way suburban communities often do, not by trying to become a major dining destination, but by giving residents enough quality and variety that they don't constantly feel like they need to leave. And that is a bigger lifestyle benefit. So when you step back and take a look at it all together, El Dorado Hills becomes a very clear choice. It's not just that the homes are attractive or the schools are strong and the parks and the lake and the golf and the events and the views and access to Sacramento and Tahoe and wine country. All of those things exist together in one place. And that is why El Dorado Hills continues to attract buyers who have choices. El Dorado Hills isn't about buying a home, it's about choosing a way of living. And once you experience it, you understand why so many people don't leave. Another reason why people move to El Dorado Hills is the community feels so nuanced. One of the mistakes people make when they start looking at El Dorado Hills is assuming that it's one homogeneous suburb, and it's not. Historically, El Dorado Hills was planned, a master planned community made up of residential villages with open space in between them. There was a long-term vision that included the schools, the park, golf course, commercial centers, shopping centers, and the community services district still maintains a village by village specific plan with specific CC&Rs, which tell you what that village identity is. It's not just informal language, it's how the community was built and organized. El Dorado Hills is a distinct collection of neighborhoods with villages, each with their own look and profile, lot size, architecture, HOA structure, and buyer appeal. This is why it feels so much more nuanced than many other suburban markets. Just a few examples. You have Serrano, which is probably one of the best examples of a master planned environment. Buyers that move to Serrano are drawn to the gates and the golf course, the stronger architecture, the consistency, the manicured common areas, a sense of polish and predictability, so to say. It tends to appeal to move-up buyers, relocation buyers, and people who want a more structured neighborhood environment. You can compare that to another master planned community, Blackstone, which gives you a completely different feel than Serrano. First of all, it's located a completely different side of town. It's a little newer, primarily built out over the last 10 years. I'd say it's more lifestyle branded. It has a clubhouse with several pools and a gym and a community room, maybe a little more contemporary flavor. In El Dorado Hills, there are 61 villages, and one of the original villages is Crown Village, and the homes there were built in the 1960s. An interesting tidbit is it was developed to attract executives from one of the region's major employers at the time, that was Aerojet. And then there's Ridgeview and Waterford that were built from the late 70s to the early 2000s, and they're classic custom homes with mature landscaping, meandering street. Some of the neighborhoods have views. So many options, and I think that's why people love this place. El Dorado Hills has experienced the most growth from the early 90s to the mid 2000s, and there's still new homes being built today. In fact, there's a new development coming to town that lots of people are talking about, and you can check out my video on that East Ridge development as well. Well, back to this. So throughout El Dorado Hills, you have custom homes, you have semi-custom homes with varying lot sizes, with views, with any type of architecture you can imagine. Some very simple and some very dramatic and ornate. And that's where El Dorado Hills becomes very compelling for buyers who are not looking for a one-size-fits-all neighborhood. So it's not just, do you live north of 50 or south of 50? It's really, what are you looking from a lifestyle perspective? What amenities do you want? Do you want a view? How much land do you want? Do you want a more established village with mature landscaping? Or do you want newer construction and a home that is turnkey? For a variety of reasons, people move within El Dorado Hills without ever leaving. They might upgrade and then they go and they downsize. Another reason why people move to El Dorado Hills is the real estate itself and what it costs to live here. First, let's talk about the market and what it actually costs. The median home price is just over $900,000, and that is as of the end of February in 2026. The average home value is right around $900,000 as well, and the median household income is about $175,000. That broader median does not tell the whole story because El Dorado Hills is not a flat market. You have older entry-level homes. I was talking about Crown Village that bring in, maybe a first-time home buyer that wants to move to a place to raise a family, and they come here because of the schools and the amenities and even our location. And those entry-level homes will range at the very low end, maybe $700,000 up to $850,000 or so. And then you have what I'd call that move-up band, and that tends to be around $900,000 to the low $1 million, $1.1 million, depending on where it's located, condition, neighborhood. And then after that, the market scales into the luxury market and estate territory, where you start talking about homes with incredible expansive views, larger lots, homes behind the gates in Serrano, luxury homes, and the prices of those range from $1.1 million up to $3 million. And then you get over $3 million or more and you have what I call estate homes that are truly magnificent homes on maybe 1 or 2 acres with truly, truly special amenities. New construction is still a major part of the appeal here. And that's one thing that continues to differentiate El Dorado Hills from older inner ring suburbs. Buyers can still find modern homes with amazing floor plans, with energy efficiency, with those taller ceilings, modern kitchens, and layouts that really work for today's lifestyle. For a lot of Bay Area buyers and Sacramento move-up buyers, that matters just as much as the price. And another important point is El Dorado Hills is not simply a price per square foot decision. It's a setting decision. People are paying for the schools, the parks, the topography, the views, the stability of the neighborhoods, and the ability to live in a place that feels more elevated than a standard suburb. And that's why the market here tends to hold attention all of the time. Buyers can be selective and can find exactly what they want. One of the standout features why people move to El Dorado Hills, and this is not just something for families, it's really something for everyone because it impacts property values, and that is the El Dorado Hills school system is truly excellent. El Dorado Hills is served by 3 school districts: the Rescue District, Buckeye, and El Dorado Union High School. As I said, the schools are one of the biggest reasons that families target this area. The schools are top rated across the board, and there are subtle nuances between the district's offerings, but regardless, where you live in town, what district you're assigned to, know that you cannot miss here because the schools are truly excellent. Just to give you an idea of how they've ranked, Niche Magazine in 2026 ranks Buckeye Union Elementary School District at 175 among California school districts and number 8 in the Sacramento area. Rescue Union ranks particularly well for teachers at 113 in California and number 3 in Sacramento. And the district as a whole won a Best Teacher Award from Niche Magazine. Oak Ridge High School is a flagship school in the district, and most relocation buyers ask about the high school first. Oak Ridge is ranked by Niche at number 292 among California's best schools, and of course is number 1 in in El Dorado County. Great Schools ranks Oak Ridge High School at a 10 out of 10 and reports a 98% graduation rate and an 87% AP pass rate. And then there's the award side, which is important to families because I know they pay attention. Buckeye School District has several blue ribbon schools, Oak Meadow being one of them, and it's also a distinguished school. Rescue School District has Lake Forest Elementary as a national blue ribbon school, an additional honor roll recognition distinction for such schools as Green Valley and Jackson, also in the Buckeye School District. Above and beyond these rankings, you have the practical takeaways. You have public school options that are attractive to families, plus you have charter schools, you have private choices, and that combination gives buyers real flexibility. Even buyers that don't have children, the strong schools matter because they support the resale value and demand in the long term. In a market like El Dorado Hills, school quality is not a side note, it is one of the pillars of this community. And it's interesting to note that El Dorado Hills has a highly educated population. If you are starting to think about a move to El Dorado Hills, we've created a guide to help you understand how to maximize your position, whether you're buying or selling. Click the link below and we'll send you a copy of it. And if you're serious about making a move, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you to learn about what you're looking for and decide if El Dorado Hills is the place. For more about living in Sacramento Valley, click the link below, like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next show. I hope you're enjoying these videos. What I value most is helping buyers make thoughtful, well-informed moves into the right home and the right lifestyle. I've created a complimentary buyer's guide to help you navigate the process with clarity and confidence. You can download it by using the link below. And whether your move is in the next month or still taking shape, let's connect. My contact information is here. I look forward to helping you make the right move.